welcome to this brand new episode of Newsmakers, the show where we bring to you trailblazer personalities and their success stories from various walks of life. Because at Newsmakers, we aspire to inspire you. My dear lovely audience, I'm your host Simran, and I'm very happy today because I'm here sharing stage with a very young entrepreneur who has flown all the way from US to be here with us on this platform. He is the CEO and founder of Raveum, and he is a very dynamic personality. You can have a look at him. He's a handsome person. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Kabir Israni on the sets of Newsmakers. A very warm welcome to you, Kabir Israni. It's such an honor to have you here all the way from US.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing? I would just like to start with very first question. How are you doing today?
Jet lagged.
Yeah.
So 12.5-hour difference. It
Wow.
takes some time to get used to it. But I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here in the lovely Delhi right now. I haven't been here before, but I'm happy to be here right now.
So good to have you again. I would like to start with this question. Like, you are an engineer. You
Yes.
started your journey as an engineer. You're
Correct.
very young. And now that you've transited from being an engineer, now that you're into real estate, and you're doing so good in your journey here, I would like to know how it started, what made you to reach to this point?
Okay. So I particularly started my college studies in engineering and computer science just because I was interested in what technology could do. I saw the impact it could have in all our daily lives just by us being on our phones and being from home, whether it be small apps like Swiggy or bigger apps like, Motilal Oswal online. That's what got me interested in what technology could do. And the switch to real estate really happened when I had made some money. I used to work in the dorms, in the hallways, cooking food. And I wanted to do I didn't know what to do with that money. I didn't know if I should spend it, if I should save it. And, in Indian culture, real estate is what's embodied in us. You're taught growing up that you should be able to invest in real estate, and that's what I wanted to get into. But then when I saw that someone at my level who didn't have a lot of capital and didn't have a lot of money could not invest, that's when I moved into the real estate game. And I understood, okay, how can I make this happen for people like me and others in the same situation as me?
Oh, that's wonderful. So that you had a lot of money and you were really thinking where to invest, and that's pushed you to be here.
Well, not a lot of money. 20,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees at a time, but yes.
All right, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Now, we know that Raveum is an absolutely different in the US market. It's one of the different real estate company. We say that Raveum is the gateway to the real estate in the US.
Correct.
Now, it stands really different in the US market right from India, right?
Correct.
I would like to know, how is it different? Why is it different? Why do we say that for Raveum?
Okay, so Raveum is the first online platform that allows anyone from India without a visa, without any income group, it could be someone in the higher class or the lower class, to come online, make an account with us, and then produce directly in income producing real estate. So, for example, there could be a property in New York, like a FedEx that has a 10-year tenant lease. You could go click on their property and buy just 10,000 rupees worth of shares if you feel like it. So we allow anyone from India to buy any property in the US and mitigate all the red tape and all the hassle that's been happening over the last decade.
So now we would like to know that this is one of the first platform which is designed to empower Indian citizens in the US.
Yeah.
And also it insists upon that it is there to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor.
Correct.
So now what is it all about? This is also something very unique we would like to know about Raveum.
Absolutely. So the fundamental philosophy behind Raveum, as we were talking about a little earlier, is that the whole idea hedges on the fact that we really want to bring down the gap between the rich and the poor in India. Now, India has been developing for quite some time.
Correct.
And the rich have become more affluent, but the poor have not shifted that line down. And as we grow, that disparity is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Correct.
Now, someone like me who was in the US, who was looking for this personal investment, when I was going through the motions, I found out, okay, US commercial properties have the value to bring dollar returns that rival the Indian market far greater. So I'll give you an example of that. Cap rates, which is basically rental yields in India after taxes, are sit at around 3%, 3 to 5% on the highest end if you take a look at most markets. In America, those are at 8%. 8.5%.
That's huge.
So there is a significant difference over there. And to invest in the US, a lot of Indians go through a lot of red tape, a lot of hassle, so you have to have a lot of money to do that. So by allowing anyone from India, without dealing with any of the red tape, just to invest in these properties that are almost 2 times higher in just rental yields, has been a game changer for them. And as India grows, and we were talking about this just a little while ago, was that India is a developing economy and it's going to go through growth that we have not seen happen before. In the 80s and the 90s, when America was growing up to be what is the United States of America and what is Silicon Valley, we saw inflation at a level that was absolutely amazing, which is good for the economy because it's going to grow and money is being spent, but that's going to happen in India as well. So what happens is that if you invest in the Indian market, your INR returns are bound to be affected by this. So if you do the math out, if you go get someone in India to invest their rupees in US dollar properties, the US dollar returns are significantly higher in 4 or 5 years as India's economy grows. And by math, if you could get a significant portion of the fixed deposit investors in the middle class to invest with us, we could push the poverty line down by 8% in a year and a half. And that is an economic shift that no one has been able to achieve in any economy around the world. And that is primarily because US real estate is what it is, at high cap rates, and India is growing the way it's going to grow. So this is like the perfect time for something like this to happen.
Now, I've just got to hear that you say that US real estate is absolutely different from Indian real estate.
Correct, it is.
Just because here we also have fixed deposits, mutual. It is a lot of things that we hear, but the gains are very different. Now,
Correct.
can you please explain?
Absolutely.
What is this market that we have in US? Why is it so different? Why
Correct,
is
correct.
investing there is so different?
Okay, so fixed deposit and mutual funds are a completely different asset class of real estate, but I'll answer why is US real estate better than Indian real estate for some of the investors that we're targeting right now. So the primary reason is your rental yield. Rental yield in the US is higher and your lease terms are longer. Now, India you can get leases for 3 years, for 4 years, and that will give you 3.5%, which is not bad. It is not bad at all for commercial properties. Looking at the same time, in the US, you will get 20-year leases, 15-year leases, guaranteed leases that are giving you 8.5% rental yield or 8% rental yield. And these are leases that are backed by huge companies like FedEx, CVS, which is Fortune 2 on the list right now. And they guarantee that they will pay that 10 years of lease to you. And if they don't, they will, and if they want to leave the property early, they'll pay it out in full anyway. So the security you get in your passive income is much higher in the US. But why do I think right now US real estate is a better move than Indian real estate is because, like I said, that India is going through this huge period of growth. And a lot of development.
Yes.
So India is going to experience inflation in a manner that it hasn't seen before. And we've seen that happen with other developing economies before they reach their peak.
Correct.
So if someone was to invest in the US real estate, they'd be investing in US dollars, right? So they would also be held with dollar appreciation.
Yes.
So in 4 years, so Coin Codex is what we use as the gold standard for USD to INR predictions. And I've been using that, my family's been using that for the past decade itself. Now we estimate by 2030, that the US dollar to INR rate is going to be 100 rupees. When that happens, when you convert your returns back into INR, you're going to have not only rental appreciation, not only property appreciation, but just dollar appreciation. But while in India, you have rental appreciation, which is almost 2 times as less, and you have property appreciation, which is fluctuating. So that's why US real estate is a better opportunity. And that is why if you could get someone in the middle class, and if you could see, a lot of our investors are affluent people because they understand the opportunity and they jump at it, you know. But if you were able to, the reason we're doing this show right now is you want to reach those people who want to be affluent, who want to enter that HNI circle and understand this is the situation and they have to think forward and make it happen. That's the situation. I hope I explained that well enough.
Yes, absolutely. You've been really bang on, and of course, all the investors here in India must be listening to this show of ours, and I'm sure they know where to invest now. The US real estate, as per you, is going to give us a lot of gains.
Correct.
Now, coming back to you again, Kabir here. Now, you are so young. Now, while you were setting up Raveum, I'm sure you must have faced your share of challenges.
Quite a lot,
Now,
yeah.
please do let us know, because that's also going to inspire our audience.
Okay, so I mean, when I started setting up Raveum, it was perhaps the most difficult journey that I'd ever got into in my life. Now you're working with regulators like the Security Exchange Committee, with the SEBI, with the RBI, and you're working with the feds. And I was just 18 in the US trying to figure it all out. And I was working as initially as a software engineer at ServiceNow. And I had made some money and I was trying to figure out how do I save this and how do I invest this. And then when I found out about US real estate and what its opportunities were, the journey to make Raveum what it was so bumpy. Because I actually had to spend all my money. I had to max out my credit cards to pay the legal fees and make it so that I can actually find this route for anyone in India to invest, right? And completely went bankrupt the first time I was doing it. I was like 19, I had no money left to make this work. And because the platform's easy for me, I'm a computer scientist myself. I can develop it myself. I have good teams and they can make it happen. But then I worked again over the summer. I made some more money and then I invested it all again and then again and then again and again, to the point where now I finally set up the base for an investment product to make this work. Because it is not like you can just go in the market and sell something. Correct. It's an investment product. It requires a lot of due diligence, and it took me 3.5 years of due diligence to make it happen. So, and in the middle I had another startup that I was working on just to make some capital. So I was doing pretty much all I could do to make sure I can create this.
That's really inspiring to know that at the age of 18 you started and you struggled till 19, you had no money, you literally got bankrupt. Although your parents were there to support, but you never went back to them and you took their support. I do see that your father is, of course, is a very inspiring person again. He was the first person, because he's quite a successful with Telebrands India, that he's been a great entrepreneur.
Correct.
And his journey started with Telebrands India, which really has an impact. Now, you here started at such an age. Was your father an inspiration for you?
Absolutely he was. I mean, that's hard not to say, right? Yes. I saw my father start at the age of 24. He founded the first teleshopping channel and I saw the struggle that he went through and the number of hearts he could touch. Now, Telebrands India would operate across every city in India, across like 7 different countries. And I saw him build that into what it was. So I knew what it took to make it happen and the sacrifice it would take, which is why for me, at 18, losing everything and then making it back and losing everything there was never a problem for me. So I never struggled with it.
So your father always gave you that courage to, you know, if you fall anyhow, you can just stand up and restart.
Correct.
No, that's quite inspiring. And I do see that your mom, Manisha Israni, she's making big. Now, what is your say? How does it come to you?
Okay, so, well, my mother is probably one of the strongest women I've ever met. Wow. She sometimes scares me as well. So we just moved to the US three years ago. And the first year she moved there, she won Best Documentary at the Cannes Film Festival. And she completely produced that herself. And then she won it again the next year after that. And now I think she's going to win it the third year that we're looking at right now. So she's been very inspiring towards me. And she was the one who taught me what it takes to connect with someone. And what is... Because when you take a look at business, a lot of businesses will fail just because they don't understand who they're serving to. They're either making the product for themselves or they're making the product for their close ones. But if you truly understand what impact you're trying to make, then it's much easier. And my mother taught me that. So that's really how my parents have really impacted me. Which is why I was able to actually get to where I am. It would never happen without them. I would never have the confidence or even the ability to get to this position right now.
Absolutely. So here, viewers, we have a great takeaway here. They are doing very well in their respective fields. But what comes as a lesson is when your parents, of course, all of our parents do teach us to, you know, do your work your way, rise yourself your way. And this is what Kabir has done. He just had few money with you, very less amount of money which you started with. You literally got bankrupt, but your parents inspired you and you are here. Now you're just addressing the nation, telling that I'm here making it big. Okay. And it's a great thing, because for us here on Newsmakers, we are so happy that we have youngest entrepreneur we've also had before you also. But it feels great to have such aspiring people here on this platform.
Great.
Now this another question, of course it's important. Now Raveum, where do you see Raveum reaching to? What is the aim, like for the future? Where do you see your company going through?
Everything we're doing is to impact our vision, which is to reduce the poverty line gap and actually reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. For that to happen, we have to find a way to actually target the middle class families and the lower middle class families. Because when we launch our product right now, it's very easy to attract the attention of people who are already avid investors. They know what they're looking for and they understand the product without me even having to explain it, right? So a big part of the journey is going to be education. Actually going on shows like this and talking to young individuals who want to make money, have an idea of how they can get started. Like, that's why the barrier to enter in Raveum is not 25 lakhs. If you take a look at fractional real estate in India, 25 lakhs is the barrier. With us, it's 10,000 rupees. And we have primarily done that so that anyone from any walk of life can come and join the platform. And I think I'll be very happy when I find out a lot of the offerings are going to be coming from smaller ticket investors who can actually, that impact of increased returns will impact their lives far more than will impact someone who's a lot more affluent. And that's going to be the biggest like struggle, but I think we're going to make it happen. I think we're on the way to make it happen. Yeah.
So when you say smaller ticket investment, what is it? What is the smallest amount that you think of?
10,000 rupees.
10,000 rupees, and then they can come and invest in the
Correct,
US?
10,000 rupees. That is, see, isn't that insane?
Yes.
No legal fees, no red tape, and all you need to do is invest 10,000 rupees. And that's why the struggle was there over the last 3 years to find the route to make this happen. Now, if you want to invest in fractional real estate in India, it's 25 lakhs. So if you're young and you want to invest in real estate in India, you can do it. There are companies that will help you do that. But with us, it's just 10,000 rupees, and that's going to be the lowest ticket possible.
That's the actually lowest ticket. 10,000 is absolutely nothing to be investing in the real estate.
It's nothing. Yeah.
And you know, and when you are just showing the world that it's going to give you a huge amount of, you know, gains, I'm sure people who are watching, they must be glued to this interview, and they're going to be calling you to be investing in this Raveum.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Now moving further, now that you are young, and like I've been insisting upon that you're in the bestest of spirits.
Yeah.
How do you balance this work-life balance? You are intellectually doing so good.
Yeah.
How do you manage to have that party thing and also doing your work?
Well,
What is that you go to go?
I don't think I have a work-life balance. I haven't really been able to do much else but work over the last couple of years. Like even in college, it was pretty much just working on this and then studying. I mean, sometimes you pull like 100-hour weeks, 80-hour weeks. That's quite regular. But I don't think I need balance just yet, right? If you really think about it, and if you think about the goal, it's an absolute moonshot what we're trying to achieve, right? You're trying to really make an impact on a population that I'm so close to. Like I moved from India to the US, but I'm trying to come back and I'm trying to make it happen. And because of that, I don't really see the need to go out or like do other things just yet.
Wow.
So there is no work-life balance, not yet. It's not
So
there.
it's just work, and you're like just insisting upon that if you have to achieve your goals, you have to really be focused.
You have to pretty much give up on everything else, and things are gonna go wrong. It goes wrong. It went wrong a couple of times,
Yes.
and things may go wrong in the future as well.
Yes.
But you just have to keep going at it. And
Yes. What an attitude here, that if you have to achieve something, you have to stick on to it and work upon. And that's what we see here with Kabir. And Kabir, now lastly, this question comes to me here. You have been inspiring a lot of other people, like your friends also. They must be watching you doing so diligently in your work.
Yeah.
Now there are a lot of people who aspire to be like you, like a great entrepreneur. They started their entrepreneur journey. Now what is that one takeaway that you have for them?
Well, I'm not a great entrepreneur. I think that's not the right way to look at it. But if you want to start something and you want to make something big out of it, there are a lot of struggles along the way. So you better pick something that you truly care about. Like it should have a large impact. It should be hard to reach. And that is all that will drive you to make it happen. Because otherwise you will never be able to cross the first burn bridge or the second burn bridge. If the goal is too small, it's not going to work. So don't be afraid of picking something that is an absolute moonshot, right? So you can make it happen.
Kabir, I would just like to know that how does Raveum work in the US real estate market? How is it working?
Okay, so the way it works is that we have a team in the US right now that goes and identifies properties that are priced for appreciation and are having good rental income. So what our process is extremely difficult. It takes us almost 60 days to find one property, and that's quite long if you're putting all your time and effort into it. So we look at properties, we do our due diligence, we register them with the local government, and we make sure there is no tax obligations, there's no lien against, and it's completely legally insecure. Then we go down to the lease agreements, and all that is to say is that we find the property with the right rental income, with the right tenants that are AAA class rated, and those investments that we'd like to personally make ourselves. Once we find a property, we actually package it up and we make it into an LLC, put it on our platform. What that allows us to do is that anyone from India, once they have accounts with us, can actually buy shares into that particular property itself. Now, for buying the share process is very straightforward. It takes about 4 minutes end to end. We actually had like a race to see how quickly we could have investors sign up. It takes about 4 minutes. You come online, you register with the email address and a password, and you go through a KYC process, which is completely done all online. You don't have to go in person. You could do it from your home. And then you can browse all the selected offerings. You click buy shares, and that's it. Once you click buy shares, you have two options. You can use PayPal, or our larger ticket investors who are investing 2-3 crores, we tell them to do a manual bank transfer because it's easier for them to just use their own bank account details. So we are very flexible in terms of that. But the idea is very simple. All the offerings are completed, vetted, and we put all the documents and disclosures all for your view online itself. and all of it's available for a bird's eye view. You can see all the hospitals around it, the police around it, you can see the property growth rate, you can see the education that's happening at that level. So sitting here in India, here in Delhi, you can see what's happening in East Syracuse, New York, and it's not going to be daunting to you at all. And based on that, all you do is click a button, you click buy shares, and you're invested. And then every quarter, all the rent that is given to you is accumulated to your wallet, and it's up to you whether you want to withdraw that money or you want to keep it in the US dollar. A lot of our investors do not want to withdraw their capital at all because they want to use that dollar depreciation we spoke about earlier.
Correct.
But that's how Raveum works end to end. And what happens is that a property is eventually sold in 4 to 5 years, and then you get your principal investment plus all the appreciation back into your initial investment method. So that's how pretty much all of it works.
That's quite an easy thing. Just being on an app and then
It's
you're
just an
doing
app,
it's just an app. And what made you to actually come up with this app? It's of course you're an engineer.
Yeah, I'm an engineer.
The mindset is of course is such, but there could be something which made you to start this Raveum app as into what was it? Yes.
So I mean, the Indian market, right? Historically, when you're in an education class that is not super educated, they aren't happy with the stock market, right?
Yes.
If you take a look at it, a lot of if you do like a focus group or you do an analysis, they feel uncomfortable with just pressing a button and investing their money, especially when it's stocks.
Yes.
But when it's real estate is embodied in our culture. We understand what it is. So when you're investing in something unseen, like a company, you'd rather have it be real estate. And the ease of access, because I wanted anyone from any walk of life, anywhere in India, whether you're in Bihar, whether you're in Jaipur, whether you're in Bombay, to sit at any age group and just invest, the easiest way to do that was an app. And you don't have to call us, you don't have to do any contact information, there is no hassle to make it happen, and you can just get all the information at your fingertips.
That's quite an easy thing, and these days we have got everything on our fingertips. Literally,
Correct, everything.
you have to buy a grocery, it is on your
fingertips, yes.
And then you made it so easy. You now just can buy a real estate, you can buy your home sitting here in India just with a click, and then you can have a property in US. What a wonderful thing to know.
You can just be in, you can spend 20,000 rupees and now you own real estate in New York and in Miami. So
wow.
and you're in India. It's something that you can't even do for US citizens in the US. So Indian citizens now actually have more advantage in the US than most US citizens do. It's true. No economy can do that right now. It's only us. So it's pretty interesting.
That's pretty, and that makes you very unique. No, but that being a unique in this industry, now how does it feel? And you also have competitors outside. There are a lot of other people who are maybe trying to do or maybe trying to copy you. How does it feel to be just one? At this present moment, you are the only one who has this app thing which people can buy a property on.
Yeah.
Now, how does it feel to be just being an outstanding person in this?
Well, I feel having no competitors, that may change. I don't expect that to stay the same. But if the goal doesn't change, I don't really think about it. The goal is still pushing the poverty line down and reducing the gap. And if you stay true to that goal, nothing else really matters,
Wonderful.
Whether we don't make money, whether we go back, whether I lose all my money, as long as you stay strict to that goal, regardless of competition, you'll be fine. And as long as at least our investors and our users and clients, I think it's very blatantly clear that that's what we're pushing. So it's easy for them to trust us and then come back to us and then increase their portfolio with us because it's easy for them to navigate it. It's only 4 button clicks. That's all it is.
Wow. So here we know that the aim that you are carrying all through is that to remove the poverty line. Your aim is quite very clear that in the Indian market, nobody should remain poor. You wanted to always bridge this gap between the rich and poor. And this is such a great thought to hear. Like, you're very young, that I've been insisting upon, because coming back to this thought that you think about your country. Back then you're in US thinking about your India, although you've created everything for the Indian market, literally when you say that Indians should become, rich. So, Kabir, when you actually introduce Raveum here in the market, in the US market, how was the reaction of all the investors? How did they receive the entire concept?
So when we wanted to introduce Raveum, the problem was that we didn't have any of the offerings and we didn't have anything in the market, but we wanted to test, is something like this even going to do well? So I'm originally from Bombay and my dad used to work in Thane. So we just went around to different builders in Bombay and Thane and we told them, okay, people are going to buy real estate from you guys right now, all the different brokers that we have in India. And we told them, if you could get someone interested in the concept of investing in the US real estate, why don't you take their email addresses down and take their phone numbers down, and if they ever invest, somehow we'll get commission, we'll find a way to make this worth your while. You have to be a little crafty to get some demand, But in 2 months, we had over 100,000 people
Wow.
really come up and sign up to us.
That's huge.
And that was overwhelmingly big because we had to shut everything down. Because at some point, what's going to happen is that as more and more people sign up, and we are nowhere close to being able to deliver the product in the market. So there's October, this happened in February, that there may be some leakage in the pipeline. But it was something out of this world just to understand these people were actually actively looking to invest with us and actively looking to move their capital into the US. And that's primarily because the investment level is so little. You can invest for as little as 10,000 rupees, right? So we got those 100,000 people to sign up with their email addresses. In fact, I have maybe 50,000 emails in my inbox right now. They just keep sending out to me that are asking what's happening. But yeah, so that's how we initially tested the market and saw, okay, this is going to work. And I guess that's interesting because now I understand the Hindustan Times is trying to like promote other entrepreneurs to do it. The idea is simple, like you do whatever you can just to test out the market that you're going to jump into, because you don't want to jump into waters that you haven't tested out, right? So you have to make sure that you take those preemptive steps to be sure about them. But yeah, that's how we initially did that bootstrap demand test, and now we're launching again. So let's see.
Wow, that's great. So what a great response that you got. And I'm sure it's now making too big. And of course, you're towards the launch of this company towards the next month or probably this month.
Yeah, October. We launch in October. We already, I imagine we'll be filled up in a couple of hours only. But we're trying to, like I said, we're trying to manage the demand so we get investors who are of the middle class to invest rather than affluent investors. And that's going to be a difficult transition to do. But yeah, we're planning to launch October 10th to November 10th. We're going to do a couple of offerings and we're going to slowly build on top of that. If you are looking to invest, I guess you should just look up at the waitlist. I don't think you may be able to invest this round, but hopefully, like as we move ahead and we move in the future, it's going to work out. So we'll see.
Oh, wonderful. So if somebody would like to just start to invest, how do they reach
you? Just have to go to raveum.com, make an account over there, and that's it. You'll see all the investment offerings that we have online itself. There's a FedEx in New York. There's a CVS in Winsboro, Texas. There are a lot of different options for you. All you gotta do is click on the offering you like. You get all the data over there. You get to see the documentation about how the investment is registered. You get to see the police stations near it. You get to see the hospitals near it. You get to get the entire geographical location right in one eye. You get to see all the pictures. You get to see the agreements. How much rent are you going to make? How does it look? And we also have a calculator that you can predict your future returns from there. And if you find the offering worth your while and worth your taste, all you do is click buy shares and investment starts at 10,000 rupees. We have capped the investment right now at $200,000. So if investors are looking to invest more than that, we have them reach out to us. And primarily, we're not going to allow that this time around, but in the future, we might open that up.
Oh, that's wonderful. Once again, it's such a great news. You can just go on to the link which just been told to you and you can start to invest with just 10,000 rupees.
With just 10,000 rupees, yeah.
What a great news to hear. That's a wonderful piece of advice, and I'm really happy once again telling you that you be here on our platform. Thank you for making up this time and inspiring everyone. So my dear audience, I'm sure this is an inspirational interview that you've just got to witness. And if you too have a story which you think that can be an inspiring for the world, what are you waiting for? Please be here with us on the Newsmakers and we shall make the world know what best you're doing. Till then, Simran signing off, but with the promise that I will be back.